Hey guys, welcome to another Trade Genius podcast. Bob and Phil here. You know, if you're a fan of social media or a fan of a particular influencer, or maybe you're an influencer yourself, you're not going to miss this one because we think there's going to be trouble for you ahead, and we're going to explain why.
Trade Genius.
Yeah, good intro. So I guess from the pandemic, there's a lot of people that made a lot of money being social influencers, and also a lot of companies made a lot of money selling selling products and services over the internet, primarily because people were home and they were consuming a lot of digital content. And these earnings reports I'm going to show you are important for one reason only, is that ad revenue spending has collapsed. And it's one of two things, or it's a combination of both, which I think it is. One is that there's basically general fatigue that of products and services that are out there. Number one. Number two is the social influencers are asking a lot of money now for repping their product or giving access to themselves in endorsing a product and service, and the companies aren't getting a return on the eyeballs. Or number three, and probably the biggest thing, is that the customer just doesn't have any money left and they can't afford to buy the things that are being sold on social media. Now, it doesn't mean there's here and there things, because some companies do really well on it, but in general, ad spending has collapsed. And I don't know if it's a year-end phenomenon or people are just trying to pull back and save marketing dollars like the big companies. But this isn't the Twitter thing, because Twitter's not included on this. These are the big four, okay? And I want to get into it right now. But I think if the trends hold, they're just not going to pay you for the views, and you'll start noticing it. And here we're talking YouTube, but I think you're going to notice it on with Facebook/Meta and on Google and in their regular spending, and Twitter's coming out with it today. Actually, we'll see what they're going to pay for this stuff, but the spending's way down. So let's take a look at these companies. So you had Meta reporting, you had Apple reporting, you had Google reporting, and you had Amazon reporting. Now, Meta and YouTube and Google are the big ad spenders, AdSense, YouTube, stuff like that. Meta, with their Facebook ads, Instagram, all that spending collapsed. And I don't think, and these companies, I always was joking when we always talk about the FANGs before, is that these guys are just, big advertising agencies, right? And Amazon's the world's largest flea market, if you will. And you notice just a general collapse in spending. And then Apple reported again, and they are struggling. And you and I both bought Apple products into the fourth quarter, and because we saw major discounting on what I would think their top tier Mac, the MacBook. And so I think there's a big problem here ahead. I think the consumer is sold out. We've been showing you guys charts over and over and over and over again about, delinquencies in auto delinquency and credit card, higher rates for credit cards. And I think you're starting to see this is where the recession bites. Where 2/3 of our GDP is consumer spending. And we showed you that they're in a negative savings position right now. And the layoffs have doubled from last January to this January. So I think this trend carries forward. Didn't know if you want to have any other comments on that, but I think it's very important to see that this is an area that has been enjoying basically resilience. And it fell off the cliff fast. I would say from November on, you see it fall off the cliff. And I know people in the advertising industry, and they're telling me that up until Thanksgiving, things were rocking, and then basically the lights got turned off. So I just want to get your thoughts on that, Phil.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what this slide says at the bottom there, where it says that it takes a while for interest rates to impact things. And I think that's what we're seeing. And that's why, like you have said too, on some of these companies that are not making money, that are just writing debt, their time is up. They're not going to be able to service that debt. And there's just a lag in the market when it comes to these tightening cycles. So I think part of that is playing into some of this stuff that we're seeing. And I think that these guys are giving us the earlier indications that we're probably heading into a slowdown, if not a recession, if not maybe even a severe recession. And so that's why we've been warning, ringing the bell and warning people like, hey, this normally if we're coming out of a cycle, a tightening cycle, or we're coming out of a yield curve inversion, and then we see what we're seeing in the last couple of weeks happen, yeah, that's different. That's like get on board because, low's probably in. But if you're seeing that and the yield curve is severely inverted and hasn't gone up, and the Fed's still telling you they're going to tighten rates, and they're not seeing things getting to levels that they're satisfied with, and wage growth is still going up, which is a problem for the inflation fight. So the Fed's really not incentivized to soften here. And if they do cut, which the interesting thing is the Fed funds futures are implying that they're looking for a cut in the second half of the year. That's not good, actually, because if the Fed goes from tightening to cutting, they're not talking about pausing, they're talking about cuts. That means they're expecting a very swift dump in this market, which I find very interesting that the futures market is pricing in that type of action going into the second half of the year. Because I'm not even thinking that bearish. I'm just thinking that they're going to tighten into the end of the year and then maybe a pause. And then we'll see the market really start to, or at least the economy probably heads into some trouble going into Q4. So that's my thought on this. I think these guys, what we're seeing here is going to be an issue for the rest of the year and the following next 3 quarters. And I think this is a heads up. And if you're not paying attention to what you're bringing up here as far as these revenue misses, I think you're going to be in for a world of hurt, especially if you're expecting this market to continue to grind higher.
Yeah, these are bellwethers.
Right.
So, yeah. So, hey, if you guys like what we like and subscribe and notifications. See, we told you we're going to have to work even harder to make our $12.50 from our videos. So stay with us. It's going to be really, really, really interesting year. And hopefully we can help you profit from it.
Agree. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Trade Genius.